Have you ever heard a story so touching, so unexpected, that it changes the way you see a world leader forever? This is one of those stories. A story the media barely covered, a story whispered among those who were there, a story about a moment of humanity, hidden behind the powerful image of a global icon. Today, we're going back in time to witness a secret visit by none other than Nelson Mandela. What he did left an entire neighborhood speechless, and when the mother realized who was standing at her door, her knees buckled. Let me take you there. It was a quiet afternoon in a small township near Pretoria. The house was old, the paint chipped, the garden untended. Inside sat an elderly woman in her late 70s. Her name was Mama Lindiwe, but the neighborhood simply called her Mama. She had lived through the worst of apartheid, raised 5 children, lost 3. But it was her youngest, Sipho, that broke her heart the most. Sipho was a bright, respectful young man. But desperate for work and caught in political chaos, he ended up joining the military in the early 90s. It was a dangerous time in South Africa, just before the first democratic elections. Violence, tension, tribal warfare. It was chaos. And then one day, she got the news. Your son, Sipho, is dying. He had been shot during a violent confrontation, ironically, in a clash against freedom fighters who supported Mandela. The doctors said he had days, maybe hours. Mama Lindiwe's world shattered. She had no money to travel, no car, no phone, just pain and silence. At the same time, across town, Nelson Mandela, not yet president, but the most watched man in the country, was preparing for another rally. His days were packed. Meetings, speeches, media pressure. Everyone wanted a piece of him. But then, someone close to him whispered something in his ear. It was a simple sentence. A mother cries for her dying son, a soldier. She blames herself for raising a boy who fought against your movement. Mandela paused. He asked the man to repeat it, then again, and then, without saying much, he stood up. His bodyguards were confused, his assistants protested, but Mandela waved them off. We're going for a drive, he said, alone. Without an official convoy, without press or cameras, Mandela got into a regular sedan and asked the driver to take him to Mama Lindiwe's home. No police, no announcement, just quiet intention. When they arrived, Mandela stepped out of the car, dressed simply in a shirt and trousers. The neighbors were stunned. Is that Mandela? Children peeked from windows. One little boy dropped his soccer ball. Mama Lindiwe opened the door, confused by the knock. And then, she saw him. Mandela sat beside her on a worn-out couch. No protocol, no guards. Just 2 people, one mourning, the other listening. He asked her about Sipho. She spoke. She wept. And then she apologized. Yes, she apologized to Nelson Mandela for raising a son who stood on the wrong side of history. And Mandela, he did something no one expected. He wept too. And then he said, "Your son was a child of South Africa. He did what he thought was right. And for that, I honor him, not condemn him." They sat in silence for several minutes. Mandela reached into his pocket and placed a folded cloth on the table. Inside was a note and a small medal. "This was mine," he said. "Now it's his." Words spread like wildfire. Within an hour, the entire township knew. By morning, the country heard rumors, but Mandela never spoke of it. No interviews, no press release. The only photo of that day was taken by a 9-year-old boy on a toy camera. Blurry, crooked, but powerful. That visit changed Mama Lindiwe. She stood straighter. She smiled more. She said, "Mandela didn't just visit my house. He visited my soul." Nelson Mandela was known for many things. His long walk to freedom, his presidency, his forgiveness. But this was different. He showed the world what true leadership looks like, not in speeches or parades, but in silent moments, behind closed doors. This wasn't politics. This was humanity. And maybe, just maybe, that's what made him great. Let us remember this story. Let it remind us that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply show up.